NFL linebackers are one of the most underrated parts of an NFL defense and can be largely forgotten within just fan bases in general. So today we're going to tier list the top linebacking cores heading into the 2025 NFL season after the draft, which just happened about a week and a half ago. So starting us off, we have the categories. We got top dog. It's going to be the one team that I think is the best. We got difference makers, which are right underneath top dog. We got collector's edition, perfectly average, only good in Madden, collection of misfit toys, and our bottom feeder. Now, one of the things I want to get out of the way immediately, I'm not including edge rushers in this rankings. I have just the linebackers that are all fall linebackers. I think it'll be easier to throw the edge rushers in with the defensive linemen that we're going to do next week. So, yeah, if you're upset because I don't have someone you think is a linebacker in, then they're probably going to end up in the edge rusher rankings that we'll do next week. So without further ado, let's get right into it, starting off in the AFC East, like we always do, with the Buffalo Bills. Now, with the Buffalo Bills, we're looking at Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, who just got extended, Dorian Williams, who's really good. I believe he's strong side linebacker. And then their depth is not great. So one of the things I want to look at is Milano and Bernard are really good cover corners. Williams is a good blitzer, but this group is really made by Bernard and Milano. Both have had injury issues. Milano's, I think he's getting up there a little bit in age, so I don't love that. But they are playmakers. So I'm looking collector's edition difference makers. I think I'm gonna start them up here. I might move them down later. I don't think they're definitely not a threat to move up. They might end up moving down. I don't like their depth, but Milano and Bernard are both above average linebackers, and Milano is a really good cover linebacker that helps them out. So I like the two of them. Williams is a nice third piece. I just don't love their depth, which might end up pushing them down later. But for now, as long as they're healthy, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with having them up here to start us off. Okay, let's move on to the Dolphins. The Dolphins have Terrell Dodson, Jordan Brooks, Willie Gay, and then just depth. So Dodson and Brooks and Gay are good. Gay's their coverage linebacker. Jordan Brooks came over from Seattle a few years ago. Um, I think they might be above perfectly average. I like Brooks's ability to stop the run, which is something they do better. This core should do better than the Bills do. But their top end talent is not great. Gay is a good cover linebacker, but he's not great. I think I'm going to start them off in perfectly average. Yeah, because Brooks is their best linebacker, but he's more of a run defender. He's not the best in coverage, which is why Seattle moved off of him. Getting Willie Gay does help. He was a Chief, and he was a cover linebacker until I think it was Chanel took over for him. But we'll get there when we get to the Chiefs. Okay, let's move on to the Patriots. I'm going to keep the Dolphins there for now. Okay, the Patriots have Gibbons, who they just signed in free agency, Spillane, who they also just signed in free agency, Christian Ellis, who had a decent season last year, Jelani Tavai, who had a decent season last year, and Monty Rice. Okay, I think this group caps at perfectly average. They have two free agency signings. Spillane had a really good year 2 years ago. He was not good last year. They run a 3-4, or they will run a 3-4 with Vrabel as a coach. I expect them to be better than they look, but I really think their talent caps at perfectly average. Spillane's a pretty decent overall linebacker, which helps. They have better depth. I think I'm just going to keep them here at perfectly average. Yeah, because I don't think that they're I think, yeah, I just think they're average. I mean, Gibbons is a good run defender. Spillane is probably better against the pass. Ellis is young. Tavai is a run defender. That's really all he can do. Rice is a depth piece. Yeah, I don't. I think the Patriots just have average linebackers. I think that's just it. Okay, let's move on to the Jets. All right, so with the Jets, we got Zaire Baines, Jamie Sherwood, Quincy Williams, Jamin Davis, and then some more depth pieces. Okay, they're moving to a 4-3, which will be interesting to see. I think that'll help Quincy Williams, but they don't have a middle linebacker, so I think I can't have them at average. But are they collection of misfit toys? Bad. I think I'm gonna put them at only good in Madden. If you don't know Madden, Jamin Davis has nice speed, which always helps in Madden. Quincy Williams is a cover linebacker. I think Baines is decently ranked, but I don't see them in the same class as the Dolphins or the Patriots in talent. So yeah, I think I'm gonna start them off at only good in Madden. I don't think it's the strength of the defense. The Jets. Yeah, their linebacker talent is not great. Okay. Moving on to the Ravens, who I already know are going to threaten that top spot. Okay. Roquan Smith, probably the best middle linebacker in the sport right now. Trenton Simpson, who has a lot of potential, a little unproven. Jacob Hummel, Buchanan, Jay Higgins, nothing. Okay, I think we keep them here. I like them better than the Bills, so we'll move them to the left. Roquan Smith is a real difference maker, and Trenton Simpson has the chance to be as well. He is a real speedster at the linebacker position, very athletic. Their depth I don't love. Roquan Smith is just a real difference maker, and I think I'm gonna move the Bills down. Yeah, I think I'm gonna start the Bills in Collector's Edition. Actually, looking at the Ravens and thinking that there's a big difference between Roquan Smith and Trent Simpson and Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard. That's not to say that Bernard can't step up and play better, but Roquan Smith is arguably the best middle linebacker in the sport, and that accounts for a lot more. And then with similar depth, yeah, okay, I like how that looks right now. All right, moving on to the Bengals. I'm gonna guard the Bengals. Okay, Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt, Oren Burks, excuse me, and Demetrius Knight Jr. Okay, I don't know what to count Knight as because he's a rookie. They just drafted him. Burks is a nice, I guess, replacement type linebacker. Pratt showed some signs of age. I do think Knight is there to replace Pratt. And Logan Wilson's a really good cover linebacker. I think they compare well to the Bengals, or not to the Bills, excuse me. The Bengals and the Bills linebacker cores compare well. I think Pratt is, or I guess Wilson would be Milano, and Pratt would be Bernard, with Knight potentially overtaking him. Oh, I might like the Bengals. No, no, I think Milano and Bernard are more right now. So we'll keep the Bengals in Collector's Edition below the Bills. Logan Wilson's a really good player. I think Demetrius Knight will be a good player too at that Mike linebacker spot. Knight taking over for Pratt, but it might take a year. Yeah, I would look to the Bengals probably in 2026 to have Knight in the spot of Pratt. Burks is a nice piece, but he's just rotational. I think he's coming over from Green Bay. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I like that so far. Where are we at next? Next, we got the Browns. Okay, Jeremiah Owusu Koromoa, Jordan Hicks, Carson Schlesinger, Jerome Baker, Devin Bush. Okay, this screams Collector's Edition. They have a lot of depth, better than other teams. Owusu Koromoa is a good coverage linebacker. Hicks is a probably at least average middle linebacker. Schlesinger can be a nice strong. They also have Jerome Baker, which is nice because they can let Schlesinger grow into it. Oh, okay. So I like them better than the Bengals, or I like them better than the Bills. I think I do. I think having four linebackers potentially is better than having two, but I don't think they're in difference makers. I don't think um, JOK as is like a difference maker to that level yet. He could be. He could step it up this year and get there, but I don't think so. I don't think Jordan Hicks, Jerome Baker, and Schlesinger right now are enough to push them ahead. So we'll put them right at the top of Collector's Edition for now. Okay. Pittsburgh Steelers. Where we got the Steelers at? Here they are. Okay. Looking at the Steelers, we got Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, Cole Holcomb, Malik Harrison, Devin Harper. Okay, so I think we're also in at least Collector's Edition. Patrick Queen is really good, though. I think I might put him in difference makers. Peyton Wilson compares actually pretty well to Trent Simpson. And then Cole Holcomb is a nice third option. Yeah. Put them right there. I like Roquan Smith and Trent Simpson better. Wilson Simpson's done it a little bit more than Wilson has last year. But Wilson has the speed that Simpson has and is the kind of athlete that Simpson is. So the potential's there. Yeah, Queen's a difference maker, but not to the level that Roquan Smith is. There's a reason that the Ravens traded for Smith and let Queen walk. Okay, yeah, I like that. I like that. Okay, moving on to the South, we got the Houston Texans up first. Christian Harris, cover linebacker. Henry Tuoto, Aziz Al Shahir, Jamal Hill, EJ Speed. Those are just depth. Okay, I think we're sitting at perfectly average, but above these. No. Oh, I think I'm gonna do only good in Madden. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put in only good in Madden. Actually, I think Al Shahir is a little over the hill. EJ Speed is for a guy with as little experience as he is. I believe he's a 29 or 30 years old, coming over from the Colts, who we'll get to in a second. Tuoto is a decent inside linebacker. Harris is basically all coverage. He had a down year compared to his previous year. Yeah, I think I'm only good in Madden is a good spot to put them in right now. If you do play Madden, Christian Harris is a great player to get for really cheap. That speed at linebacker with his hit power is really good. Okay, moving on to the Colts, we have not a lot of talent. Taking a quick look at it, Zaire Franklin is nice, but he had a down year last year. Jalen Charles was a backup linebacker. Segun Olubi, Joe Bacci, Cameron McCoy. Yeah, I think we're looking at collection of misfit toys. That is a possibility for bottom feeder. That is a really bad group, propped up by Zaire Franklin. Zaire Franklin might keep them out of the bottom feeder category, but wow, is there just Charles could be a good coverage guy. He's got speed, he's got athletic ability to be a good coverage linebacker next to Franklin, who's a tackling machine. But oh man, that depth looks really bad. Okay, moving on to the Jaguars. What do we got here? Foyesade, Olukon, Devin Lloyd, Chad Muma, Jack Kisner. Okay, we're at least in collector's edition here. I like Lloyd and Olukun better than these guys, or I like them better than the Browns. I don't know. So the Jaguars just declined Lloyd's option. I think it's because you don't pay a middle linebacker like $18 million, especially when he's not like a Roquan Smith type. And getting Olukon from the Falcons was really underrated last year and kind of hidden by their defensive back issues against the pass. Those are decent linebackers. I might put them below the Bills though, because I think I have to put them below the Bills because the proven nature of Milano and Bernard to win, I think tops this group a little bit. Muma is a nice backup linebacker. So is Kisner, which I like better than what the Bills have at backup linebacker. I do think they're squarely in this collector's edition set, so we'll leave it we'll leave that where it is for now. Okay. Okay. Titans, where are we at here? Cody Barton, Otis Reese the fourth, Cedric Wright. Okay, this is really bad. Cody Barton's an okay piece. Otis Reese the fourth has a chance. Everyone else is just replacement level. I'm actually going to put them at bottom feeder. Letting Gibbons go is going to hurt them, despite the fact that he's not more than an average linebacker. Yeah, I don't like this group at all. There's no clear, like, because the linebackers are supposed to be the quarterbacks of the defense for a lot of teams where they're calling out the plays, they're making the adjustments and stuff like that. They get the earpiece. Yeah, I think that's definitely the worst group we've seen so far. Yeah, I don't like that group at all. They need to add someone. Oh, that is ugly. Okay, moving on to the West. The Denver Broncos starting us off. Where we at? Okay, Denver. Alex Singleton, Dre Greenlaw, Drew Sanders, Justin Strnad, and Lavelle Bailey. Okay, so here's where I'm at. Dre Greenlaw is just going to get hurt. He already did. I think it was his pack. Oh no, it was something in his upper body. Drew Sanders has not been getting reps. He's just a backup. Greenlaw and Singleton. See, a few years ago, Greenlaw is a gigantic addition to this defense, and he certainly was paid like it, but I don't trust him to stay on the field. I think they're sitting like top here or perfectly average bottom. I think I'm gonna put them only good in Madden. Greenlaw's still gonna be a good player. Singleton's a nice piece. I just don't. Oh, I don't love these players for Denver. Singleton, Greenlaw. Yeah, no, I like Greenlaw is technically a nice addition. I just don't think he stays healthy, like at all. Like he went through lifting in the off season, and he couldn't get through that without getting hurt. Now, according to reports, they avoided a really bad situation, which is what was thought when it first happened, when it first came out, the injury. But Singleton is a average at best linebacker. So yeah, they go and only good in Madden. Okay, Chiefs, Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, Drew Tranquil, Nick Bolton, Leo Chanel, Jeffrey Bassa, Jack Hawker, and Cam Jones. Okay, so this is Collector's Edition. Where they go in Collector's Edition is interesting. They're definitely above average. Nick Bolton is probably the most underrated linebacker in the sport. He's just overshadowed by a lot of people. Drew Tranquil is a really good coverage linebacker. Leo Chanel is a really good strong side linebacker. So it's a good core of three guys for a 4-3. Okay. So because they have three guys, they're going to jump here. I think I'm going to have them jump the Browns too. Come on, jump the Browns. Jump the Browns. Okay. Watching the Chiefs play, it is incredible what their linebackers are able to do and how much of the field they're able to cover. And they're going to need it with how bad their safeties might be this year. Signing Nick Bolton back was a huge deal. I understand why they prioritized that and subtracted from their offensive line to keep him. Yeah, okay. I like them going there because I like Bolton better than JOK. And I definitely like Tranquil Chanel and Bolton over Milano. Bernard over Olakun and Lloyd over Wilson and Pratt. So I think that we're good to move on to the Raiders. Okay, the Raiders have Devin White, who's been bouncing around. He was a really good linebacker at one point. Orlando Roberts, who's a nice run defender. That's it. Luke Masterson, Eckenberg, Lindenberg, Bernie. Okay, so my issue here is that who's their coach? Pete Carroll runs a 4-3. He runs a 4-3's cover 3 defense, which means unless they're going to play a lot of nickel, which is possible, but their corners aren't that good, they're kind of missing a linebacker. So I can't put them anything above Only Good in Madden, and I actually might put them at the top of Collection of Misfit Toys here, because even if you say, okay, White can rediscover himself and play the way he was when he was a Buccaneer, Roberts is just a decent run defender. He's not even like a good run defender anymore. He's just a decent run defender. He's not what he was when he was a Patriot. And then Masterson, Eckenberg, Lindenberg, Bernie, those are all backup linebackers. So they're going to run a 4-3. They're going to almost force themselves to run a 3 safety set or a nickel set because they don't have a third linebacker for their defense. This isn't like they're running a 3-4 and they only need 2 guys to be on this list. They need 3. So Devin White, yeah. Collection of Misfit Toys. I still think the Colts are less than them. Although Zaire Franklin is a better piece. I think I have to do that. I think I have to. Just because of how bad White's been. Or maybe not, maybe bad is the wrong term, but how he has just bounced around from team to team. I think he was cut by the Eagles, and then I don't think he was picked up after that last season. So, like, I know the Eagles defense has a lot of talent, but to cut a guy of White's pedigree, if he was playing to the standard that he has, I don't. Yeah. Okay. Raiders go in Collection of Misfit Toys there. All right. Let's go Chargers. Where are you? Chargers, Denzel Perryman, Diane Henley, Troy Dye, Jeremiah Jean Baptist, and Marlo Wax. Okay, so starting us off, their depth isn't great. Troy Dye is an okay replacement type linebacker, but Perryman's the run defender. Henley is the coverage linebacker, so they have a good combo. I think they might sit at perfectly average. You know, when they had Kenneth Murray last year, they might have been able to sneak into Collector's Edition. Yeah, I think perfectly average is a good spot for them. I think their depth keeps them from jumping the Patriots and the Dolphins, but we'll see. Perriman's getting a little up there in age, but Henley is an up-and-coming linebacker, a little younger. Yeah, I mean, a big part of what the Chargers do on defense is bringing Derwin James into the box and helping out. I think that covers up some of the deficiencies this linebacker core will have. But because we're looking strictly at these linebackers, Perriman and Henley only get them so high. Dye is okay and probably keeps them out of falling from perfectly average, just because some of the other teams that are below perfectly average, I look at them and I'm like, if they have one injury, they have no one. The Chargers would at least have something. So yeah, I'll keep them perfectly average. I don't expect them to fall, but we will see. Okay, now that we've finished the AFC, let's review where we're at. Okay, so if we're looking at this right now in just the AFC, the Ravens have the best. The Ravens have the best linebacker core. So let's move them up for now. There's a chance the Chiefs climb. I I don't know. It's hard to give the Browns anything more than this right now, despite the fact that they have some of the best depth that we've seen on this list. I do think the Titans deserve to be down there. Raiders and Colts deserve to be here. I could understand an argument for the Broncos and the Texans climbing up, but I also have stated my argument why they shouldn't. Yeah, Quincy Williams is kind of saving the Jets from falling further. they could use a reunion with CJ Mosley. Okay, I like where we stand here. I do think the Ravens have the best linebacker group so far. Steelers are putting up a nice fight, but Wilson's just unproven. Yeah. Okay, so we'll keep it here. No, let's move the Chiefs up. I like their collection. Having three strong linebackers is better than most, and that takes us out of having five teams in collector's editions, which I don't love. Yeah, okay. I like this look a lot better. All right, let's move on to the NFC. Starting us off with the Cowboys. Their linebacker core has fallen a little bit, but they signed Kenneth Murray. They signed Jack Sanborn. They have DeMarvion Overshawn, Maurice Liafua, Damone Clark, and Shamir James. Okay, I think that they sit perfectly average. They're a really hard group to quantify because their guys get hurt. Overshawn has missed like a whole season and a half so far in his career. Damone Clark is like he has the fragile sign stapled to his forehead. Lafua is just he's like a backup, strong side linebacker. Murray's can be good. He's also shown that he can be bad. Jack Sanborn. I think I'm gonna start them off as the best and only good in Madden. Because if you've played Madden, Overshawn and Clark are good pieces to have, similar to like a Christian Harris type. So, and Kenneth Murray normally is okay in Madden too. I might have them jump up. I might do it. But do I want to do it right now? Yeah, I think I'm going to keep them at only good in Madden for now. I reserve the right to come back and raise them later, but I think they fit at the top of that class. All right, New York Giants, my New York Giants. Bobby Okereke, Micah McFadden, Darius Mousseau, Chris Board, Ty Summers. Okay, so they're Okereke is a nice piece, but he is terrible in coverage and only really good against the run. He had a down year last year. I think I'm going to put them at the top of Collection of Misfit Toys. Micah McFadden is not bad, but having extensively watched this group play, they're not great either. But I think Bobby is so much better. Now, Bobby compares to Zaire Franklin. The Colts let Okereke go because they had Franklin. So, okay, yeah. Yeah, they fit really well right there. The Eagles, okay. This is interesting because Zach Bond had a really good season last year. Kobe Dean is a nice piece. Jod Campbell is an athletic freak at linebacker. So they're at least in difference makers. I think because Bond got Depoy, they jump. He got Depoy votes, but it was just one season. Is my issue. I still like them better here. I don't know how much stock to put into because Dean had a good season. Bond had a great season. Campbell's a rookie, but that's three guys. That's three great linebackers potentially, and that puts them over the one. I think the Eagles climb up and push the Ravens down. I don't love it, but three linebackers of that caliber is just crazy to have. And then Vic Fangio is just going to have a field day with the three of them. Yeah. So I guess I'm not happy about it, but three is better than two. If the three is unproven, the two is unproven. So Eagles climb up. Bond gets Depoy votes last year. I don't think he'll play to that level this season. A career special teams player making that kind of jump. A lot of credit goes to Vic Fangio. Obviously to Bond as well for continuing to grind. Um, but Dean and Campbell, great sidekicks to have. I think Campbell could be the best of all of them. Him falling to 32 or 31 to them, excuse me, was just a huge disservice. And similar to Jalen Carter falling to them at 10, I think it was that year. Maybe it was 8. Um, so, yeah, the NFL keeps messing up, and the Eagles get to climb to the top of this ranking so far. The Commanders, okay. Where are the Commanders? There they are. Frankie Louvu, Bobby Wagner, okay. Dominic Hampton, Nick Bellor, Kane Madrano, Jordan McGee. Okay. So here's the issue that I have. How high can we rank like a 34-year-old Bobby Wagner? He's still a tackling machine, but Frankie Louvu is a nice linebacker, really good at blitzing. He's okay in coverage too. Um, their depth is kind of like whatever. Nick Bellor is not a terrible piece. Dominic Hampton's okay. I think I have to keep them here. And I think I'm going to have them jump the Patriots, but not the Dolphins. Wagner's great. He's a Hall of Fame linebacker, but he's 34. He's very clearly lost a step, but his reactions and his ability to call the defense is a huge boost for them. So, yeah, I think that they go in perfectly average in between the Patriots and the Dolphins. Actually, let me go back. Jordan Brooks, Dodson, Gay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that's a good spot for them. We can revisit whether they jump the Dolphins or not later. Okay. The North Bears. Chicago Bears. TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, Noah Sewell, and then a bunch of backups. Okay, so we're looking at least at Collector's Edition. I really like Tremaine Edmonds. He doesn't need to stay in the field. TJ Edwards is a nice linebacker. So, I think they stay in Collector's Edition. I like them better than both of these teams. I wish Edmonds had stayed in Buffalo, but they had Bernard, so that's why they let him go. They grade similarly with Buffalo actually because Edwards is Milano and Edmonds is Bernard. However, Milano is better than Edwards and Edmonds is better than Bernard. Okay. I think I'm going to put them there. I'm a big Edmonds fan, but yeah, that looks better to me. Collector's Edition, yeah. Okay. Lions, Detroit Lions. Anzalone, Campbell, Barnes, Rodriguez. Okay. So this is a throwback group. They truly have, well, they have 4 good linebackers, but they have 3 linebackers that very clearly fit their role. Campbell's their Mike. Anzalone is their weak side, and Barnes is their strong side linebackers. So, see, my thing is, Anzalone's a little older. Coverage linebacker being your second best. I think they go at the end of Collector's Edition. Because I like Campbell, but actually he's been a little bit better. I think I'm gonna have them climb a little bit. Better than the Bengals. I might move the Bengals down. Campbell's young. He's talented. Barnes is underrated. If you haven't seen Derek Barnes play, you should. He's a good linebacker. Anzalone has been a good cover linebacker back from his Saints days. Really stepping it up with the Lions. They're scheming him really well. Yeah. Okay. Collector's Edition works there. Okay. Green Bay Packers. Quay Walker and Edrin Cooper. Now, they had a fantastic season last year. They signed, they had McDuffie as a backup. They signed Isaiah Simmons. So, this might be controversial, but I think I'm going to put them in difference makers. Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper were real difference makers last year for this Packers defense, and they're both young. I think they're both 25 or under. Cooper's definitely under 25. He was a rookie last year. Um, I don't remember if he got Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year votes, but he should have. He had a really good season. And then Quay Walker coming in was a good linebacker. Those are two great linebackers to have in the middle of your field. They both cover well. They both play against the run well. I might actually have them climb the Chiefs here. Obviously, I don't think either of them pass Queen or Smith. So the two of them having the potential behind them keep them very clearly above the Packers. But yeah, I think the Packers have a really good linebacker core. I don't know if that's saying something that people won't like to hear, but Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper are legit. And if you haven't watched Packers games, watch them. They are some really good linebackers. But all right, Vikings. Ivan Pace, Blake Cashman, Brian Asamoah, Eric Wilson, Kobe King. Okay. So Ivan Pace had a really good season, underrated last year. Blake Cashman is a run defender. Asamoah is just a backup. He's got speed though. Okay. I think they go in perfectly average, but where? So what I'm thinking right now is that they're above the Chargers because pace is better. I think there. I think pace is just better than Perriman and Henley. But even that, I don't necessarily agree. No, I think they go at the end of perfectly average. Pace had a really good season, but I don't love Cashman, and I don't think Asamoah is a starting caliber linebacker. So maybe Kobe King steps it up, but that leaves you with one guy. So yeah, I think perfectly average is okay. I could understand an argument to drop them to only good in Madden. I really could. But I do like them. I like pace better than anything that the Cowboys have. I do think I'm going to have the Broncos jump the Cowboys here. But I don't like if Greenlaw stays healthy. I like Greenlaw better than Pace. But does Greenlaw stay healthy? I really don't think he does. I'm going to keep it there. I might come back to it. Pace is a good linebacker. He is also underrated. But it's just, yeah, that's just, ugh. Oh, I don't love that. But I'll come back to it. Okay. Atlanta Falcons, Caden Ellis, Divine Diablo, Troy Anderson, JD Bertan, Josh Woods. Okay, so we're looking at a bottom tier linebacker core. Divine Diablo was okay for the Raiders last year. Caden Ellis has been okay as well. They might be at the top of a collection of misfit toys. Troy Anderson's a decent backup cover linebacker. I think this is good. I feel like I might be disrespecting him a little bit. I think Ellis and Diablo might be better than Quincy Williams. And have them here somewhere. Yeah, I like that. To a point though, like if Diablo isn't better than he was last year, this group drops. Because Ellis, I don't know if Ellis can cover the difference. I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna keep them there. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't feel right having the Jets here and the Falcons. Like I could drop them both, but I don't think that's fair because these linebackers cores are just worse. Okay. Panthers. They might challenge the Titans for the worst. What are we looking at here? Looking at Josie Jewell, Christian Roseboom, Trevin Wallace. Okay. They're definitely a collection of misfit toys. And I think they only jump the Raiders because Jules an okay piece. Wallace needs to step it up and show he's not just athleticism. And Roseboom is, I mean, I guess maybe replacement level. They got problems at linebacker, which is really upsetting because when Kuechly and Davis were there, they were like the best linebacker core of that era, but they're just not that anymore. Those guys retired and they never replaced them, it seems. Yeah, I like them in Collection of Misfit Toys. I think Franklin and Okereke are better than anything that the Panthers have, but I think Jewel and Wallace's athleticism put them above the Raiders. Jewel saves them from being as bad as the Titans. But okay, that's not a good room. Saints, New Orleans Saints. Demario Davis, Pete Werner, Jalen Ford, Nephi Sewell, and Danny Stutzman. Okay, so this group is Davis and Werner, which pushed them up. Demario Davis is a very good linebacker. Pete Werner is okay. All right. I think perfectly average, but above the Vikings. Oh, above the Vikings. Davis is getting older, but I don't want to say he's gonna demise. The difference between age and injury is like some people do defy the drop off with age. And the injury bug, you really, if it hits you, it hits you. It's just hard. So I don't know. I feel like I'm disrespecting the Broncos with Greenlaw putting the Saints higher, but I like Davis and Warner better. You know, if you don't remember Demario Davis back from his Saints days, and then when he went to the Browns and then ended up, or the Jets, excuse me, he went from the Jets to the Browns to the Saints. He was really good in New Jersey because they play at East Rutherford Stadium in New Jersey. He was really good with the Jets. He went to the Browns, had a little bit of a down year. He then signed with the Saints and it exploded. Really underrated. Yeah, I like him being there. Now, granted, if he falls off, because I think he's 36 now, if he falls off, then this group craters. Pete Werner can only do so much to keep them up. Yeah. Okay. That's good. All right. Buccaneers. Anthony Walker, Levante David, J.J. Russell, Servokia, Dennis, and Deion Jones. Okay. So they have a similar thing, but Werner is better than Walker. And Levante David had a down year last year. So they're hovering here as well. Perfectly average, only good in Madden. I feel like if I have Demario Davis, I have to have Levante David in perfectly average, which might make me be like, well, then I have to have Dre Greenlaw also in perfectly average. It's a lot of average groups, though. Okay, we're going to see where we go from here. Levante David, obviously, potential Hall of Fame linebacker, but also older. So when the drop off happens, especially when last year looked like it might have been like a mini drop off in athletic ability, at least. All right, let's move on. We have one more division left, 4 teams. Arizona Cardinals, Mac Wilson, Akeem Davis Gaither, Baron Browning, Xavier Thomas, Cody Simon, Owen Papo. Okay, collection of misfit toys, but where? I think I like them here. So, Mac Wilson Sr. is a pure run defender coming off of a good season, I believe, with Cleveland last year. But Akeem Davis Gaither is a pure cover linebacker, can't do much else. Baron Browning is like a blitzing linebacker. Cody Simon's a good backup. Owen Papoa is like Gaither's. He's just a coverage linebacker. Yeah, I think Collection of Misfit Toys is a really good spot. And because Franklin and Okereke have done it longer, I'll keep them above the Cardinals here. despite Wilson's good year last year. Let's see him do it by himself. Okay, LA Rams. Troy Reader, Omar Spates, Chris Paul Jr., Jalen Michael. Okay, so this is not a good linebacking core. Not a good linebacker core. Okay. Spates is okay. Chris Paul Jr. I liked him in the draft, but that was in the draft, so there's nothing really proven here. Yeah, I think that they just sit here at the bottom. Man, with the way the Rams defense played last year, I thought they would be higher, but their secondary didn't look good, and their linebackers don't look good either. I know their defensive line is going to look great, but yeah, their linebackers just don't look good. It's a lot of projection potential, but no, I just don't. I don't like it. Reader and Spates and Paul don't sound like a good core to me. Okay, 49ers. Fred Warner immediately puts this up here. D. Winters, Nick Martin, Tatum Bethune. Okay, so here's the dilemma. Fred Warner is top 2, top 3 linebacker, but it's kind of all they have. D. Winters is a tweener safety linebacker, really good in nickel sets, covering tight ends, slot receivers, stuff like that. Nick Martin is okay. Tatum Bethune, Deshaun White, yeah. I think the end of difference makers, literally on the shoulders of Fred Warner here, is where they have to go. Their defense does not look like it in normal Niners defense does. Hopefully Saleh can work his magic because it looks bad. Okay, Seahawks last team. To Rice Knight, Ernest Jones the fourth, Drake Thomas, Patrick O'Connell, Josh Ross. Okay, so collector's edition. If you don't know who Therese Knight is, look him up. He had a really good year last year. Ernest Jones the fourth. So those are two good linebackers, good to great linebackers. They're young. Jones just got signed as he's deserving. Good combination, yeah. I think so. Their talent puts them here, but do I like them there? Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes. I think I like Knight and Jones better than Wilson and Pratt, but do I like them better than that trio? I don't like them better than Lloyd and Olakon. So they're not jumping any higher than this. Yeah, I think I like that. Okay, yeah, I think I like that placement there. Okay, so this is what we have for our list. Let's do one last look over and see. I don't love having 6 teams in our bottom tier there. No, I think that's accurate. I'm looking at the Giants and I'm like, McFadden had a good year, but Okereke had a bad year. Yeah, okay. I think that's our list. Okay. If that's what we're looking at, then we have our top dog as the Eagles coming out with the best linebacker core going into the 2025 season after the draft. And our worst linebacker core is the Tennessee Titans. So thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it if you made this far. Please leave me a comment. I would love to have a discussion about what you guys think of this list and who should be at the top. Who did I have too high? Who did I have too low? Please let me know. And I will see you next week with our defensive line rankings.